Aloha kako. Welcome and good evening. My name is James Hustis, and I'm the president of the Waimea Community Association. Thank you to those joining us online tonight, and welcome back for our virtual candidate forum series. Tonight, we'll be holding a series of virtual interviews with the individuals that have filed for the seat of County Council District 9 and Hawaii County Prosecutor. During the first hour this evening, we will hear from 3 candidates running for Hawaii County Council District 9, and during the second hour, we'll hear from the candidates running for Hawaii County Prosecutor. I encourage you to follow the Waimea Community Association on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You may also find relevant information and resources on our website at waimeatown.org. We strive to keep our accounts active and up to date. At this point, I would like to recognize the WCA board members. First off, our Vice President, Michael Donnelly, our Treasurer, Louis Dubois, our Secretary, Frankie Pang, our Assistant Secretary, Patty Cook, and our directors, Nancy Carr-Smith, Riley Smith, Lonnie Olson-Chong, David Greenwell, and Llewellyn Kumalai. The Waimea Community Association Board is grateful for the support shown by the community to hold virtual town meetings. Earlier this month, we held a virtual forum series with the 15 candidates seeking the office of Hawaii County Mayor. You are welcome to revisit and rewatch the recorded live stream on the Waimea Community Association Facebook page or up on the Waimea Community Association YouTube channel. As mentioned, tonight we'll be learning more about the candidates for County Council, District 9, and Hawaii County Prosecutor. During our first hour this evening, we'll be hearing from the 3 candidates for County Council District 9. County Council District 9 covers all of North Kohala and most of South Kohala. The area in pink represents the extent of District 9. As described by the Hawaii County Council, by the Hawaii County Council, District 9 includes the following communities: Monolani Resort, Waikoloa Village, Puako, Waikiki, a portion of Waimea, Kamuela, Pu'ukapu Farms, Pu'ukapu Homesteads, Pu'ukapu Village House Lots, Luala'i, Pu'uopelu, Lalamilo, Waiaka, Kauai, Kohala Ranch, Mahukona, Hawi, Kapa'au, and Halaula. The candidates seeking the seat of Council District 9, though they will be appearing in a different order this evening, in alphabetical order, they are Philip Ippy Aiona, Ranae Keane, and Herbert Tim Richards. And for our second hour this evening, we'll be hearing from 3 candidates seeking the office of Hawaii County Prosecutor. Though they'll appear in a different order as well, in alphabetical order they are Jared Auna, Christopher Bridges, Kelden Waltjen. The candidates will be calling in throughout this first hour, joining us to give a 2-minute self-introduction. And after the self-introduction, after the 2-minute self-introduction, candidates will be asked a series of questions over a course of 12 minutes. These questions have been submitted ahead of time by community members, and we do apologize if your specific question was not asked this evening. But we have done our best to capture a wide range of topics, and questions were selected and consolidated based upon the consensus of input we received. We hope the questions asked the candidates during this forum series better inform your decision during the election process. If you do have an inquiry of the candidates and we're unable to get to it, I would encourage you to reach out to them directly or their campaigns. Thank you for taking the time to submit questions to the Waimea Community Association and helping to make the Q&A portion community-driven. Candidates will be timed, and a bell will sound when their time expires. Candidates have been encouraged to keep their answers concise and direct for the benefit of them answering more of the community-generated questions. All candidates will have the opportunity to answer the same questions, time permitting. Each candidate will be on the video conferencing call for about 15 minutes, after which they will be dismissed. Tonight, I'm also joined by 4 of our Waimea Community Association board members, Lonnie Olson-Chong, Frankie Pang, Patty Cook, and Riley Smith. They will assist in presenting the questions to the candidates. And this evening, we're also grateful to have members from the Hawaii County chapter of the League of Women Voters join us. We'll be joined by the Hawaii County President, Rosemarie Muller, and Hawaii County Vice President, Nina Eejima. Ms. Eejima will share with us the changes happening to the voting process in 2020, especially as it relates to the vote by mail process. And will detail a great tool to help voters learn about the voting process and information about individuals seeking elected office. Following, Ms. Muller will help us transition to our second hour this evening, where we'll learn about the candidates running for Hawaii County Prosecutor. Rosemarie will share some key information about that particular office and why it's something we should pay more attention to. The State of Hawaii primary election on Saturday, August 8th is a critical day in our election process. Many of the competitive seats will be determined in the primary. If candidates, especially those nonpartisan, receive more than 50% of the tallied votes, they will be elected on August 8th. This has been the reason for groups like the Waimea Community Association to hold forums during this time of the year, so that our communities, families, and friends, and our neighbors even, have an opportunity to learn more about the candidates before the primary election. We invite you to learn more about the candidates running for elected office, and we are excited to hold these forums. At this time, I would like to start off our virtual forum this evening as we hear from candidates running for Council District 9. I'd like to welcome Dr. Tim Richards into the call to join us. Welcome, Councilor Richards. And I will unmute you now, and you may begin your 2-minute self-introduction when you're ready.
Thank you, James, and thanks to the Waimea Community Association for the invitation. My name is Tim Richards, and I'm the sitting county councilman for North-South Kohala, District 9. I am chair of the Ag, Water, Energy, and Environmental Management Committee and the vice chair of finance. A little bit of my background. I am 6th generation Auna, 3 generations to the area and to agriculture. Except for being away at school, I have lived within the district that whole time. My background is agriculture. I came from agriculture to run for and seek office to speak on behalf of agriculture. I'm all about land management and stewardship, water management and stewardship. And ever since I've been elected, my platform has been unwavering. It's been about agriculture. We need good public policy for strong agriculture, both in land access as well as water management. Going forward for this campaign, the 3 areas of focus that I'm concentrating on are, again, agriculture, because what this COVID-19 has shown us, the need for food self-reliance is greater than ever. And it's all about agriculture. Additionally, affordable housing. If we don't have access to affordable housing for our people, for our constituents, and realistically, for the next generation, what we're working on really is not going to work. And it's not going to be long-term for the next generations to come. And finally, of course, it's the economy. Our economy has taken a huge hit in the last 3 or 4 months. We were doing reasonably well up to that point, but it's now time to shift. It's now time to pivot. It's now time to focus on things that we can do better and for ourselves. So with that, August 8th is the upcoming election, and it's all mail-in. So we're going to be educated on that. Thank you, and thanks for the invitation.
Thank you, Councilor Richards. Appreciate you joining us this evening. At this point, I'd like to welcome, I believe, Frankie Pang. I'll unmute you, Frankie. And Mr. Pang will present some questions to Councilor Richards here for the next 12 minutes. Frankie, the floor is yours.
All right. Welcome, Councilman Richards. Thank you for
Hello,
joining
Mr.
us
Pang.
this evening. Our goal is to give our audience an opportunity to get to know you better, to understand what your goals and objectives are, so that they can make an informed decision when they vote in the primary election on August 8th. We have allotted 12 minutes for this question and answer period. Take as much or as little time to answer each question. At the end of 12 minutes, we will conclude and get ready for the next candidate. The first question, Councilman Richards, is about priorities. If elected, you will carry the responsibility of supporting the diverse communities within North and South Kohala. Please share the top 2 concerns you have for our district and your solutions.
Thank you. The short answer is, first, we have to make sure that we have enough food to feed our people. We've been working on quite a few programs. There's been a lot that has been done, and some of the challenges we've had have been coordinating those efforts. With so many people out of work right now, resources are limited. The food basket, I was told, normally deliver about 2 million pounds of food a year, and they've delivered over that in the last 3.5 months. That shows you the need. So that's the first thing. I have a program called Bridges that I've been working on to bring needed protein to the community as a whole. Secondly, we have to get to work on our economy as a whole. Many of our constituents in this district rely on the coastline for employment, and there's some 4,500 people out of work right now. That's very concerning. We have to move forward and make the change and get the economy back up and running. In part, it will be tourism, but as I've stated before, what I'm talking about is agriculture, and I truly believe agriculture will be one of the economic drivers for our community as a whole. We have to make this shift, but we already are. This has proven the need, and I've stated this before, we're already making the changes. Bridges, the program I've put together, is in part supporting that. So those are the 2 top priorities at this point.
Thank you. Well, as you had mentioned before about the impacts of COVID-19 and our need to move to a more diversified economy, can you provide any other specific examples what you would do as a county councilor to rebuild our economy?
Again, we're talking about a shift and a change. Up to this point, we have, well, best estimate somewhere between $8 to $8.5 billion economy, of which $3 billion of the GDP came from tourism. That's roughly 40%. We have been shown that that is realistically too much for our economy if something shifts. What I would like to see is an expansion of the agriculture economy going forward. And what that means is, yes, planting more, but we need the availability to land and water. And that comes down to good public policy. Additionally to that, we must have the infrastructure to add value add to that. Processing, whatever that may be. It may be for the beef industry, having pre-cooked roasts. It may be for the vegetable industry, having ready to microwave vegetables. We have to think further than just what we've been doing right now. We must value added, which builds the economy locally, which supplies higher availability of jobs going forward. Additionally, the whole renewable energy portion of that is a component that we must fold into this. We have the energy needs, and we have a portfolio of renewable energies within this county that is enviable across the nation and realistically across the world. We can use that energy ourselves for our own processing and value adding going forward. So it needs to be a combination of everything. And I have an initiative put forth, my Agriculture, Water, Energy, a Food Nexus initiative. You can find that on my website, that details some of the exact details for that whole program. So with that, I think we have a lot of opportunity ahead of us, but what it's going to take is leadership to get this done. And that just is strong will.
Thank you. A big piece of the council person's position is to serve as a check and balance to the mayor's budget proposal. The county budget is almost $600 million and involving more than 2,800 employees. What experience do you have in effectively reviewing and approving larger budgets?
I've sat as the vice chair of finance for the last 3.5 years now, and it's no secret. I'm very critical of the budget. I'm very critical of misspending of money, of our finances. Our finances come from the constituents, and I'm very concerned about spending our money appropriately. To your point, Frankie, the budget proposed initially was $626 million. back in February. It was revised down in May to 585 million, a 7% reduction because of the COVID-19 issue that faced us and the downturn in our economy. The problem is that's only a 7% reduction. And I've sat on many national calls that have been concerned about the finances coming forth for government, and somewhere between 15 and 20% of a reduction in our revenue stream is what's projected. Our state government itself has projected about a 15% reduction. Because of that, I don't think we've cut that budget enough. I have been a strong advocate for having ad hoc committees to better study the budget going forward. This year was a wild card because we were faced with the whole COVID-19, and we didn't get to do as great a review as I wanted to. I proposed some budget cuts, some more budget cuts that went through, because I believe part of this comes down to cash management. And if we were able to do a better job cash managing, I think we can manage that budget better. You're right, it's over a $600 million budget. Right now it's 585. My intention was to cut the budget and monitor our revenue streams, reappropriate if we have the revenues coming forth. It's going to be very, very difficult to have not cut now and then try to cut later once we get into the budget year. So I have experience in this, and I am very concerned about our finances going forward.
Earlier, you had mentioned that one of your concerns for our district was addressing homelessness, houselessness, and affordable housing. As a council member, can you elaborate more on how you will address these problems?
Yeah. Those are a couple, they go together, but housing, it spans a couple of different demographics. First of all, we're talking about affordable housing or workforce housing or housing, access to housing. We have a projected somewhere around 20,000 plus units needed by 2025. Roughly speaking, that's building 5,000 units a year for the next 5 years. We're only building a couple, 300 or 400 units a year as it is now. We have to get some big projects going. In District 9 right now, we have approximately 6 projects going forward right now in various stages of approval. We need to accept that as a county. We need to accept that as a county council members and approve some of these housing under a state law 201H, which allows us to build the housing and to not put in as much infrastructure, thereby lowering the cost. We can get some of this housing done. We as a councilman have to be mindful and promote the affordable housing. Now, to the homeless, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green said that if we could put our homeless into housing, we'd save over $300 million a year in our healthcare costs. We have to work better and find more housing for that. And that's not really affordable housing, that is homeless housing. A different need, but still housing nonetheless. So we have to work on this and go forward with this. But we as a county have to embrace the fact and thereby support these projects as they come forward.
In light of the ongoing protests and vigils happening here and across the country, addressing disparity and inequality within our communities, how do we work with our police to create and maintain a culture that preserves the spirit of Aloha mission and provides the highest quality of police service and forms partnerships within the community of vision?
I think for our police, we've already started that. And when I say that, we have body cameras coming forward right now. The funding's been approved and we are going with that. So from an accountability standpoint, but realistically, Hawaii, we're not like the mainland. We're different. And our police department here has a CPO, the community police officers, the outreach programs, getting out into the communities and having the open conversation. We see officers at our community meetings every month. I have regular dialogue with the police officers and the police force to discuss things and discuss issues going forward. There's a lot of unrest right now, and I think it starts with communication. There's also a lot of things that we expect of the police department that I think we need to do a better job in offering them facilities, training going forward. Yes, they enforce the law, but there's a lot of social problems that they end up dealing with that I think we need to get better and more resources for them so they can better address that.
Do you have any ideas how we could improve the transparency, excuse me?
Yeah, it starts with those body cameras coming forward. We have those approved, and it's in the process right now. There's a 5-year lease that was approved in council 2 weeks ago, or I guess a week ago, 10 days ago now, and that's coming forth. That is a lease. It's not lease to own, but we'll always have the updated equipment. That's a good start, and that'll be deployed as soon as it comes in. We have one officer that is his job, and so I think that's a good start.
Okay, thank you, Councilman. Now for the final question, this covers the last 2 minutes.
Okay.
What is your greatest accomplishment during the last 4 years as our county councilor?
To narrow it down to one accomplishment is a little tough, but I'll throw out a couple of things. First of all, I'm very proud of the fact that we were able to get the funding for the Waikoloa intersection, Waikoloa Road and Paniolo Avenue intersection. We have the funding in place to take care of that intersection and to take care of Paniolo Avenue resurfacing, and there's going to be some retooling of that. We have $10 million for that project. It's not soft money, it's approved and it's coming forth. The RFP is out for the engineering and the design coming now. We had a scoping meeting earlier, and that's great. I think the other thing I'm very pleased on, I was able to help facilitate the $60 million coming forth for the lava recovery, and our chair detailed a couple of us to go down to the legislature and work hard to get that funding. So I was able to work on getting that and bringing that. And I would say another thing probably not as well known is the slaughterhouse in Hilo. I was able to help facilitate getting that reopened by going to Washington, D.C. and sitting with the Department of Agriculture, one of the undersecretaries, and getting that worked out and coming forth. So those are some of the things just off the top of my head that I can recall. And we only have 2 minutes, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you, Councilor.
So,
Appreciate your time spending here with us. All the best in your campaign. Good luck, and thanks for joining us this evening. Aloha.
thanks,
Aloha.
James. Aloha.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point, as we're welcoming our next guest here, we'll take a moment to adjust the audio here, and I'd like to welcome Chef Ippy Aiona, Philip Aiona here, join us on the call. I'll unmute you here, Ippy, and I'll give you 2 minutes to give your self-introduction. Thank you for joining us this evening. Welcome.
Mahalo, thank you for having me. Thank you, Waimea Community Association, for putting this together and allowing us to share our mana'o with our constituents. This is amazing. So yeah, a little bit about myself. First, I'll talk about my background. I was born and raised here on the Big Island. My name's Philip Kahaku Aiona. A lot of you guys know me as Ippy. Some of you guys know me as Chef Ippy. I own and operate 2 restaurants here on the island, one in Waikoloa, one in Waimea. I have an amazing wife, a beautiful daughter who's going to be turning a year in about 6 days. My family is very rooted in this community. I have a native Hawaiian father who's born and raised in Hilo. He had a Hawaiian plate lunch restaurant here in our community in Waimea. And I have a Italian-American mother from New York who actually had an Italian restaurant here in this community. So I really did grow up serving this community. It may have been beef stew and pasta, but it was still serving this community. You know, the reason why I'm running is because I've noticed that there's been a real big void between the people and the government. There's a lot of mistrust, a lot of lack of transparency. You know, there's a lot of people, adults my age, who don't vote, who don't even know who our council members are. And that's because they don't think that their voices matter, that their voices aren't being heard. I think that it's very important for our elected officials to get into the community, to get involved, to make sure that the people know we're bridging the gap. Because at the end of the day, that's their job. You know, we elect these officials as people who are going to be representing us, our voice. They have to go into these council meetings with the intentions of what the people want, not what our best interests are. And, you know, I just think that we really need if elected, I think I would really get into the community, listen to their needs, and reflect that and reflect what the people want. If elected, your councilman for County Council District 9, I would definitely bring your voices to the table and make sure that everybody is being represented. Mahalo.
Thank you, Ippy. Appreciate that. At this point, I'm going to move on to our presenter, question presenter for yourself. So I'd like to welcome Lonnie Olson-Chung here. I have Lonnie on mute there. And then Lonnie will ask you a couple of questions over the next 12 minutes, and when she's ready to go. Okay, Lonnie, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hi, Lonnie.
Aloha, Sheriff.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our goal is to give our audience an opportunity to get to know you better, to understand what your goals and objectives are, so that they can make an informed decision when they vote in the primary election on or before Saturday, August 8th. We have allotted 12 minutes for this question and answer period. Take as much or as little time to answer each question. At the end of the 12 minutes, we will conclude and get ready for the next candidate. The first couple of questions are yes and no questions, have to do with time management and familiarity with the council representative responsibilities. Are you familiar with the time requirement to be a council person?
Yes.
Have you attended a county council meeting within the last 12 months?
Yes.
Being a council person is intended to be a part-time job. Most council members have another profession. Do you intend to work solely as a council person, or will you continue your other occupation?
Oh, I will put all my attention and time into being the county councilman.
Okay. This next question falls under priorities. If elected, you will carry the responsibility of supporting the diverse communities within North and South Kohala. Please share the top 2 concerns you have for our district and your solutions.
Okay, so these are, you know, there's more than 2 obviously, but we'll share the main ones. You know, one of the things that in our district, things that people are going through are people are going hungry. Okay, first and foremost, it's what's happening. Our restaurant is feeding hundreds of people a week right now during COVID, and these are our neighbors, our aunties, our uncles. These are people that can't afford to buy groceries, you know, and it's something that we have to address. You know, nobody should be going hungry in our community. I think that we have to start partnering up with some of the faith-based organizations, some of the churches, other organizations that are already on the front lines. People like Big Island Giving Tree, Hope Services, Salvation Army, all of these people are out there on the front lines feeding the people right now. And I think we have to start, backing them up, giving them more help, helping them out, making sure that people are fed. So that's a short-term solution when it comes to feeding the people. I think that we could really benefit with some community farms, community kitchens built in these towns, giving people the opportunity to actually grow their own vegetables, creating produce boxes and things weekly that people can actually take. We could hold classes at these kitchens. We could rent the kitchens. A lot of people always want commercial kitchens to rent. We can rent these kitchens out to the community, use that money then to keep growing things and working on the farm. I think we can find ways to start feeding these people, and that's the first thing we have to do, because I'm always feeding people when there's a crowd and when there's a group, and there's always a need for that. The second thing is more towards our economy, and it seems to be this seems to be kind of like the theme of the election, and that's diversification, right? Creating a more diverse economy. Because our tourism is down, it's starting to show our weaknesses and show where we really need to start bolstering our economy. When it comes to tourism, we have to understand that a lot of people in our district depend on tourism to survive. So it's easy to say, well, we have to replace tourism. We have to be able to fix it and work on this situation, because a lot of people depend on it for a job. Now, that being said, we have opportunities to start making agriculture the cornerstone of our economy, start working on renewable energy, start pushing some of these construction projects through. All of these things can be done and have to be done when it comes to diversifying our economy. So I know that one kind of is a little cheat because we gave a little more than one, but those are the 2 things that I think are really needed in this district right now.
And you've actually covered the first 2 questions, even the one on economy. Thank you for that.
Oh, there
The next one has to do with the budget. A big piece of the council person's responsibility is to serve as a check and balance to the mayor's budget proposal. The county budget is almost $600 million and involving more than 2,800 employees. What experience do you have in effectively reviewing and approving larger budgets?
All right, so when it comes to the budget, and a lot of people that are in the service industry, people that have owned restaurants or anything, understand when you're in the restaurant industry, your margins are about this thin. You know, we're talking about making 5 cents to the dollar when it comes to profit. So making sure that we're not, you know, the revenues are coming in and we're not spending too much. These are very important. P&L statements, making sure that, you know, all of these things when it comes to budgets are extremely important. I work with them all the time. I've owned and operated multiple restaurants. And especially when it comes to small businesses and restaurants, you know, keeping the budget under control is extremely important. And it's so easy to get out of control. With our budget and the county budget, excuse me, you know, right now we have voted on the budget and it comes in from the mayor's office. And I think what a lot of people are starting to understand is we're going to start to really be affected and we're going to start to really feel the effects of COVID in the next fiscal year when we're starting to work on our next budget. Right now, this year, we have opportunities with state and federally funded programs such as the CARES Act. We have money such as the luxury, you know, the luxury tax that the council has voted on, ways that we can start filling the gaps of our budget this year. We're going to have to start getting creative and start really thinking of ways when it comes to next year's budget on how we can do this, looking at programs, looking at the way the county is spending money, making sure that each department is being fiscally responsible, not overspending, making sure that we're not just putting programs out that aren't useful and aren't being, you know, properly funded. So I think it's going to be really important and we're going to have to come up with creative ways throughout this next year in order to mitigate this problem that we're having right now.
Okay, thank you. The next one has to do with planning. Please share your ideas that if elected, what capital improvement projects would you pursue for the benefit of District 9?
Oh, mahalo, Lonnie, for that one. I appreciate that question. You know why? Because I think community projects are extremely important right now. We really have to start focusing on the people. The people's morales are down. People are, you know, we have to start building that up. We have to start focusing on the people. One project that I think is really needed is storm shelters. That's something I'm really passionate about. You know, I think we have one storm shelter here on this island. I know we have one storm shelter here on this island, and it ain't anywhere close to District 9. You know, we live on a tropical island in the middle of the ocean. It's just, it's crazy that we don't have this yet. And that's something that I would definitely be working on. Our people have to know that we want to take care of them. We want to make sure that they're taken care of it. And we want to start being proactive and not reactive when it comes to problems. Another thing I believe we have to do, like I stated earlier, community farms, community kitchens. You know, this is going to give opportunities for people to be fed, for people to be able to work. We can team up with someone like Hope Services or Habitat for Humanity to create small shelters like we have in Kona and Hilo, where we can actually have the homeless population work on the land and give them a sense of pride, not just give them a hand up, but give them a sense of pride, give them a house to live in and let them work the land, work the farms, you know. Waikoloa desperately, with all this construction and all this development going on, Waikoloa definitely needs a stoplight. You know, Waikoloa is often overlooked in our district and that shouldn't be happening. Waikoloa is, I mean, that's the heart of our workforce, you know, so I think it's really important that we start looking at that. And finally, we have to start investing in our future, making sure the keiki have places to play, have fields that are safe, have fields that are you know, good for them to be able to start developing. And like I said, all of these things are so important because it's important to let the people know that we care and start showing that we want to take care of them and we want to build the economy by injecting money into things that will actually help the community. So those are just a few of the projects that we have planned.
Okay, thank you. Next one has to do with solid waste and recycling. Recycling has almost come to a halt here on Hawaii Island. What is your plan for supporting a robust and sustainable recycling and refuse program that meets the needs of our community?
Great question. And you know, recycling just hasn't come to a halt in our community. Recycling has come to a halt worldwide. Right now, China's isn't accepting 90% of their recyclables, and that's affecting everybody. So if we're not going to handle this as a nation, or we're not going to handle this as a state, then it's time that we handle this as a district or as an island. I think we have to start partnering up with some of these companies, again, that are already doing this, create more recycling stations, repurposing stations. I think it would be really good if the county can start making green waste stations in each district, that the community can come together, put their green waste, create compost, again, being reusable. I always had an idea for a way that we can recycle. You know, we have a lot of restaurants, service stations, hotels that are using up tons of reused oil. What we do with this oil is people pick it up, they put it in barrels and they send it to Oahu, and Oahu processes it. So if we could figure out a way to start processing that here, our county would have an opportunity to be able to have a cheap source of gas, a cheap source of fuel. The county could get involved, or the people in the community could get involved and buy some of this fuel, and we could actually create a new form of revenue to bring in to the county while also recycling and reusing some of these products. You know, it's recycling is not just important now, but it's important for our future. It's important to make sure we protect our island and make sure that we keep a clean environment.
Thank you, Chef. Chef, I'd like you to be specific as you can on the next question about emergency response and the COVID-19. What should the county do to minimize the spread?
Well, you know, I think the county is doing as much as we can, you know, we're lucky. We have an advantage. We live in this little bubble here in the middle of the ocean. So if we can understand that we dictate our surroundings, if we make sure that we have a testing system, that we're not bringing people that already have this virus, that we're not bringing them in, you know, we have to work harder to make sure that we slowly open. We've been opening up already, and I've experienced this. You know, my restaurants had to close down, and it's tough, and it's really hard, and we reopened so that guys can come back and get paychecks. And it's difficult because sometimes it's not worth it for these businesses to open because we're not making money without the tourists and without the people here. So we have to start understanding that the health of the people come first and foremost. That is so important. You know, our job is to make sure we protect the people. So I think we have to really be smart about slowly opening, slowly getting our economy going again. And in the meantime, we can start working and figuring out where we went wrong. Why, when the tourists leave, why are we stuck with, you know, with nothing? So I think it's important, and I think that is the way we can start kind of mitigating this situation.
Thank you. In the light of ongoing protests and vigils all around us in the community and across the country, how do we work together with our police department that helps us preserve the aloha spirit and provide the highest quality of police service?
Great question again, and such a good question right now with what's going on with the civil unrest in this world. I stated this in a different form. You know, we do have to understand that there is a systemic racism problem in this country. I mean, we have to face that. You know, the difference is here living in Hawaii, we do, like I said, we live in this little bubble. You know, a lot of our police officers are born and raised here in this community. They're from these towns. You know, we do have a diverse police department, and you could see it, like I said before, on the Auna when people were out there and police officers were, you know, giving the ha to their aunties and uncles before they were forced to arrest them. Our police officers, you know, we have different problems here on the island. We're talking about missing children. We're talking about drug problems. We have a lot of issues on this island. I think it's going to be really, really important for the transparency and communication between the police force or the police department and the community, especially with these new body cams coming in and having us write policies for this new body cam. I think it's going to be so telling how important and how clear and transparent the police department are, and they should really let people from the community get involved and make their opinions, make their voices heard, and say, hey, listen, this is what I think we should do with these body cams. This is when you should wear it. This is when and it should really be open and clear. I don't think we should be militarizing our police department. We shouldn't be using it for private companies. We shouldn't have police in schools. You know, I think we have to start respecting our police for what they do, and that is to protect and serve our community.
Okay, Chef, we're going to run out of time here, but one last question, please. What qualities do you possess that makes you the best candidate to represent our district on a county council?
Well, aside from my beef stew recipe, I think, no, I'm very passionate. I'm very driven. There hasn't been a task that's been put in front of me that I haven't fought for all the way to the end. You know, when I go out to the community and I hear what the people need and want, I'm going to fight for it all the way to the end. That is something that I've always been proud of, and something that I always strive to do. And that is, you know, my passion to fight for what is right and for what the people want. Wow.
Thank you so much, Chef. We'll try your beef stew. Have a good one.
Thank you, Chef. Appreciate you joining us. All the best in your campaign, and have a wonderful evening. Aloha.
Thank you.
Aloha. Okay. Thank you, Chef. So next up, we have our last candidate for Council District 9, and I will admit her into the room here and give a moment as we adapt to the audio. Okay. Just connecting audio. Give us 1 second here. Hello, Ranae, are you there?
Aloha, James. Yes.
Oh, welcome. I'm going to give you 2 minutes for your self-introduction, and so begin when you're ready, please. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Mahalo to the Waimea Community Association for providing this forum to our community, and mahalo to Common Cause Hawaii for bringing awareness to the voting process for the August 8th election. My name is Ranae Keane. My background is in Youth and Human Services Administration. In graduate school, I studied a great deal of public policy. I conducted research and participated in internships in local government, in nonprofits, and also in some of our national park services. Upon graduating with a master's degree in Human Services Administration, I was offered amazing opportunities in other fields. And I left my public policy background entering into the field of performing arts as well as in education. I'm still involved in those areas today. I work part-time for the Hawaii Department of Education. I perform as a hula dancer along the Kohala Coast. You might recognize me from Lava Lava Beach Club or Hapuna, Mauna Kea, the Hilton, etc. But what I've spent a majority of my time doing is I've been a small business owner for 2 decades. My current business is primarily in the service industry of events, including weddings and conventions, large events like that. With the current state of affairs, I felt a calling to public service, utilizing my many touch points I've had in the community and melding that with my training in public policy to bring a better balance for Hawaii. And I hope to be the voice for our community of North and South Kohala on the County Council for District 9.
Mahalo, Ms. Keane. Thank you for that self-introduction. Appreciate you joining us this evening. At this point, I would like to welcome, I believe Lonnie is back in the room, and she will ask you questions for the next 12 minutes. Lonnie, the floor is yours when you are ready.
Mahalo, James. Aloha, Ms. Keane. Thank you for joining us this evening. Mahalo. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our goal is to give our audience an opportunity to get to know you better, to understand what your goals and objectives are, so that they may make an informed decision when they vote in the primary election on or before Saturday, August 8th. We have allotted 12 minutes for this question and answer period. Take as much or as little time to answer each question. At the end of the 12 minutes, we will end our session and get ready for the rest of our program. The first one has to do with time management, familiarity. Are you familiar with the time requirement for a council person, yes or no?
Am I familiar for the time requirement? I've talked to several people who have held county council position in the past in our district, as well as people who are on council now, and as well as talking to some of our state legislative members and asking what is possible in a 2-year term. What can we actually accomplish? What can we get started? And what can we finish in that time? I think allotting the opportunity for our people in District 9 to let us know what their priorities are is very important. And that's why I think having an open ear and a close relationship with our constituents is priority number 1 to address the timelines of county.
Okay, just a yes or no question next is, have you ever attended a council meeting?
Yes, I have.
In the last 12 months?
Yes,
Cool.
I have. And provided testimony. Yeah.
Being a council person is intended to be a part-time job. Most council members have another profession. Do you intend to work solely as a council person, or will you continue your other occupation?
Right now, my occupation with the Department of Education is part-time, and I can take a break at any time to pursue other things. Right now, the county council position would be my 100%. Due to COVID, some of us don't have options anymore, and some of us want to bring our past into public service, and that's my intention.
Thank you. Next question has to do with priorities. If elected, you will carry the responsibility of supporting the diverse communities within North and South Kohala. Please share the 2 top concerns you have for our district and your solutions.
Okay, my 2 top concern are employment and job opportunities, and second is streamlining county government. Solutions to that, we need to bring the opportunities and the freedoms to our people to be able to work. There's been a little bit of overstep, in my opinion, of the public sector into the private operations during COVID-19. And while I can forgive that overstep, I am not okay with the long-term failure to correct. And so I want to make sure our civil liberties and our opportunities to work are available to us. We could also amend legislation in the private sector to reduce the barriers to small business in our county. For example, supplying local products in cottage businesses. You know, a honey farmer has come to me. I have to have all these same things as a commercial kitchen, and that doesn't apply to me, and I can't bring my product to market because of the barriers in the county. So that's one way to do that. Priority 2, streamlining our government. I think we need to embrace technology at the county level. If we embrace technology, we can better connect for our people in their participation in county government, as well as access to county services.
Thank you. Next question has to do with economy. In light of the recent economic impacts of COVID-19, how would you move Hawaii Island towards a more diversified economy? Please provide specific examples of what you would do as a county councilor to rebuild our economy. Sure.
Our economy can be diversified into agriculture, into technology, into, we could explore medicine, we can do, of course, more, we have great construction workers here on the island, but all of that, whatever industry that we diversify into, I think we need to align with the quality of life for the residents that are here. And that's not talked about as much as I would like it to. So diversifying into agriculture, I am for. Diversifying into energy, I am for. But we also need to look at the scale of these industries and how they best serve our local residents. What's the second part of that question, please?
Let's see, 2 specific examples of what you would do as a county councilor to rebuild our economy.
Okay, to rebuild the economy, again, I think we need to reduce the barriers that we have for small business, and then also look at land use ordinances and what we are allowing in terms of the size of solar farms that we can bring in versus other things that are available to us right now. And those specifically affect District 9 quite a bit.
Okay, thank you. The next question has to do with budget. A big piece of the councilperson's position is to serve as a check and balance to the mayor's budget proposal. The county budget is almost $600 million and involving more than 2,800 employees. What experience do you have in effectively reviewing and approving larger budgets?
I have worked with different universities in their budgets. I've also, been a small business owner to review budgets. The university budgets in particular were very, very large budgets. So I do have that experience. I do feel that our county has been excessive in spending and that we should be reducing our budget to be more fiscally responsible to the residents that are contributing to our income.
Okay, thank you. This next question is on energy. How will you help Hawaii County become energy self-reliant and reduce our dependence on fossil fuel?
Right now, there are so many things being brought forward, solar, wind, hydro, lots of things coming in. And while I would like to explore all of these, I think the important thing that we think about is where this is going to happen and the timelines and the scale of these projects. I don't want to turn away any of these projects, but I do want them to be responsible in scale, and we also have to consider where we place these different projects. We don't need to place them all in one place on our island because we are susceptible to natural disasters, storms, and things like that. So if we utilize these to scale and consider where we place these opportunities in solar and in wind and in hydro, I think we can really build an ideal system for the rest of the world to admire and look at how we've done it. We have great opportunity.
Okay. What should the county do to minimize the spread of the COVID-19? Can you be specific, please?
My biggest concern as a small business owner is knowing what's coming next and being able to prepare and get your business mobilized, activated, and on the move. And right now, when we get just a date, we'll consider doing this, and that is not based on necessarily anything that the community knows about. I would like to see protocols in place where if we reach X number of cases, this is the step the county is going to take. And if we have that protocol in place, then all of us, individuals, citizens who live and work here, visitors coming in, and our government, we're all held accountable to how much this spreads. And I think if we give our residents some of the ownership of our own safety and these protocols, if we reach this, X happens, small businesses would be able to operate with much more security in their future.
Thank you. Talking about public safety, in light of the ongoing protests and vigils here and across the country addressing disparity and inequality within our communities, how do we work together with our police to create and maintain a culture that preserves the spirit of aloha, which is our mission, and provides the highest quality of police service and form partnerships with the community?
With the civil unrest, we've had a really wonderful opportunity here in Hawaii to set an example for the rest of the world right now. We've had large, assemblies, and they've all been peaceful. And we have had people being able to assemble and share their voice, and that's a mutual respect in our community with our police officers. It's fantastic. At the same time, our police department took immediate action in restricting the use of vascular neck restraints in response to what has happened, and that's temporary right now. I would like to see that become a permanent solution for our police department. We have the body cams coming in, but we're one of the last people to, or last communities to have that. And so if we look at the models that have been used in other places and how they're the best practices, we can implement that immediately when we start the use of the cameras. Also, our police department has training in how to address a peer that has acted out of line. And we need to help our police officers be able to feel comfortable using that and have more training in that area. In terms of the racial inequalities that we've had in our language and our actions, I don't think it's limited to the police department. We need to look at this in all areas of county government, not just the police. And I thank our police officers for their service to our community and for being open and involved with our community public.
Okay, thank you. So we're getting down to the last minute here, Ms. Keane. So I'd like to ask you, what qualities do you possess that makes you the best candidate to represent our district on the county council?
The reason that I think I would like to represent us most in the quality that I want to share with you right now is my willingness to listen and to be in touch with our constituency in District 9. I feel like at the local government level, you must have that continued conversation and the open ears to what the constituents want, to what our people want, and what best serves our local resident population right here in North and South Kohala.
Thank you for your time, Ms. Keane.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha. James, you're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that, everyone. Let's see. So thank you, Ranae. Appreciate you joining us. All the best in your campaign. Thank you, Lonnie, for catching me on that one. Just trying to handle some people coming in the room here. Thank you. So at this point, we heard from our 3 county council members, our candidates for District 9. And we pop this up on the screen so you can see them again, and you're welcome to go back and watch this again. Let's see here. All right, so not in this order, but we heard from Philip Ippy Aiona, we heard from Ranae Keane, and Dr. Herbert Tim Richards. So that's those are the candidates for District 9. And just some headshots there so you can identify them when you're walking around. At this point, I would like to welcome, let's see, Nina Eejima and Rosemarie Muller to the floor. They're joining us this evening. They both represent the Hawaii County League of Women Voters, and they'll be talking here a little bit about, as we transition to the second hour, the second act this evening, about until we get to the prosecutor candidates. So Nina, the floor is yours. Rosemarie is here with us as well. And I will go through your slides and you just let me know. I can advance them for you. Nina, whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Aloha. Thank you for welcoming League of Women Voters Hawaii County to participate in this great activity. We were established 100 years ago at the same time that the women in the U.S. were granted the right to vote. So it's been a struggle, but we're here. Want to make it clear we are nonpartisan. We do not support nor oppose any candidates. One of our primary goals is promoting democracy through advocacy and voter education. In spite of our name, also our membership is not limited to women. We welcome all in our work at the national, state, and local levels. So James, tonight you've asked us to talk a little bit about vote by mail. Vote by mail, as everybody knows, is new. The biggest change is we will no longer be assigned a polling place on election day. And I apologize in advance for going lickety-split through this, but I understand our time is very limited. I want our key takeaways to be that there are some timelines we need to meet in order to register to vote. There are certain voter registration requirements, and also there are certain physical places that we can go to in the state in the event that we blow off our mail-in voter registration requirements. And but the best takeaway is to make sure all of your voting requirements, all of your voter registration requirements are met and that you vote. So I'm going to address the August 8th primary elections. More detailed information is available on the League of Women Voters vote411.org website. And James, if I could ask you to put our simple slide up on, that would be, yeah, thank you. As well as Hawaii State site, elections.hawaii.gov. That's on another slide that I provided you, but these are basically 2 excellent resources to go to find out voter information, to register to vote, to update your voter registration information, and also to get information about who and what is on the ballot. But first of all, we need to be registered to vote. If you're not registered to vote, obviously you cannot vote. There are a couple of ways to register. One is online. You can do this by either going to vote411.org or the Hawaii State site, elections.hawaii.gov, or to olvr.org. That stands for Online Voter Registration. Here we go, OLVR. These are very, very simple, basic websites to go through. Unlike lots of other public websites that deal with election issues, voting issues, these will not send you into a maze of rabbit holes that you can never get out of. You know, where was I 3 clicks ago? These are very simple, straightforward. When you go on to register to vote, you must have your current voter information, meaning your present name and also your present address. Many folks that I've come across during recent voter registration drives tell me, oh yeah, I've had my post office box for the last 10 years, but I've moved a couple times, but that doesn't matter. It's the same post office box number. It does matter. You need to go online and update your information, or you can go into one of the physical voter service centers. I'll address that in a minute, or go into one of the election offices and make sure your information is updated. They need your current address. You can also call the 808-961-8277 number that's on the screen right now to verify and confirm whether or not you're properly registered. If you received your signature card in the mail, this is the one where you sign off and then you send it back in so that election folks can verify your signature, you're good to go. But if before I received my signature card, I had doubts as to whether or not I was in the system. I went online. It was so simple, easy. I was in the system, and it just calmed me down a lot, because we know that there are lots of issues with a lot of voting system software. Your primary voter, your voter application registration has to be received by the election folks by July 9th. This allows them to turn around and send to you by July 21st your mail-in primary ballots. If for some reason you're unable to get it together within these timeframes, you can go to one of 2 voter service centers on the island. Only 2. They will be staffed with people to assist you. One is in Hilo at the Apuni Center. The other one is in Kailua at the West Hawaii Civic Center. For folks in other parts of this county, it's challenging to make these visits and do this in person, but that is what is being made available to us. But you know, they're making it very simple for us to passively mail in our registration if we need to, as well as make sure that all of our voter information is up to date. So what will the package you receive in the mail consist of? Registered voters will get a package that includes a ballot and a secret ballot sleeve in which you insert your completed ballot, and a paid postage return envelope. All ballots must be received by whatever means by Election Day, August 8th. If it's postmarked by that date, forget it, you're out of luck. They need to receive it by that time. And also remember, you need to, on our ballots, designate political preference. For partisan races, if you vote across party lines, your vote won't be counted. In nonpartisan contests, such as for mayor, prosecuting attorney, and also council members, these are the county positions, those are nonpartisan. So it doesn't matter if you cross party lines. You just need to remember that distinction. And again, vote front and back of the ballot. And as I said, we need to be very careful about our correct name and address. It's imperative that this is done. This is essentially the vote by mail information I wanted to share with you. The websites are so easy to navigate, and James, if you can just pop that slide up one more time with the web addresses. What you're seeing right now, thank you very much. Yeah, so if you have a pen and pencil, or if you want to replay this video, it'd be great if you could jot this down if you need information on vote by mail. Getting to, we've also been asked to talk a little bit about the League of Women Voters vote411.org platform. It's excellent. It's a national platform that goes down to the local level. Each of our candidates tonight was asked by League of Women Voters to submit voter information, which we uploaded into our database. We do not filter, we do not edit any of the information. We do this as part of our voter education effort to make sure we have an informed democracy and to encourage our candidates to become engaged. Some of the candidates did not submit written materials for us, but the majority did. And it's wonderful that we can go to a platform like vote411.org, because all you have to do is type in your address, your zip code, and for purposes of this slideshow, I typed in the address of the post office in Kekua, and I got a listing of all the offices that I would need to vote for, the contested races, with the description of the office, and including the term, the responsibilities, the salary, as well as the candidate statement. And this type of information is just invaluable, especially when you have a ton of mayoral candidates, for example. It gives you just an easy spot to look and see what type of things our candidates are promoting, emphasizing, and encouraging our voters to take a look at. So I think that about wraps up my time, James. I will turn it over to Rosemarie. And so I want to thank you again. Aloha.
Aloha, Nina. Thank you so much. So yes, we'll pass it over to Rosemarie with kind of a brief introduction and information about the Office of the County Prosecutor. So Rosemarie, I'm going to pop over to your slides here, and the floor is yours. Thank you, Nina, once again. I'll just unmute you there, Rosemarie. Are you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm not unmuted though.
Yep, you're all good.
Okay. All right. Thank you. First of all, I wanted to share some information regarding the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney before we continue with the last part of the forum. On the first slide here, it says the legal agency responsible for prosecuting all violations of state and county laws, ordinances, rules, and/or regulations on behalf of the Big Island community as provided by the Hawaii County Charter, Article 9. Can you put the next slide up, James? Okay. The next slide will have the mission. Okay. The mission is to pursue justice with integrity and commitment and to make a difference in the fight against crime through effective prosecution strategies, including seeking accountability for those who violate the law in our county, providing assistance to those impacted by criminal conduct, and working with the community to solve crime-related problems. And doing so, the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney for Hawaii County provides a variety of services to help keep Hawaii County safe and healthy. Next slide. Next slide is our department goals. To strive for just disposition of criminal cases and to promote public safety and order through timely, efficient, and effective prosecution. To ensure that victims and witnesses of crimes are treated with respect, courtesy, and sensitivity in their cooperation with criminal prosecution. To improve the criminal justice system by identifying areas of need and working collaboratively with other criminal justice agencies and the community. To encourage and promote crime prevention and early intervention initiatives to improve the quality of life on the Big Island. And to identify, promote, and implement new and innovative approaches to solving crime problems. Just one more slide. The department's overview that they have a large budget of approximately $11 million, including $3 million in grants. And their staffing is approximately 120, including 38 attorneys, split east, west, north, in North Hawaii. Also includes the administrative and clerical staff, victim assistants, counselors, and investigators. I just want to also say that the office also needs to develop public education programs through various broadcast or print media to provide the general public information that will assist citizens in developing the knowledge and confidence to prevent crimes and to avoid being victims of crime. And I just want to end with it that the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney is the only other county-wide office besides the mayor and is a nonpartisan office, and it's a 4-year post. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Rosemarie. We just wanted to present this information to all the viewers out there and even, enlighten ourselves about this office in particular, which a lot of us don't really know. And so we wanted to share this information with you out there. So thank you to Rosemarie to share this with us. I also want to thank Nina once again, Nina Eejima, to share about Vote 411 and the vote by mail process this year. At this point, I believe our next guest is in the call here, ready for us. We have Mr. Christopher Bridges, and we're going to go in through our county prosecutors. We have 3 county prosecutor candidates that we'll be talking to this evening. So at this point, I'd like to welcome Mr. Christopher Bridges, join us on the call here. So thank you, Mr. Bridges, for joining us. I will unmute you now, and I will give you, once you're ready to go, I'll give you 2 minutes to give a self-introduction, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all. Thank you, James. And thank you, everybody, for taking the time to, thank you for taking the time to find out about your local candidates. My name's Chris Bridges. I'm an attorney. I primarily work out of Hilo, though I do occasionally appear in Kona and Waimea, as well as on Oahu. I've been doing criminal law exclusively for 20 years. I was formerly a deputy prosecutor in 2011 before going into private practice. Prior to that, I was a prosecuting attorney on the island of Kauai. and before being elevated to first deputy. First deputy, if you aren't aware, is the second in command underneath the elected prosecutor. I moved to Kauai, or from Kauai to Big Island in 2008. My wife actually was a teacher at HPA. She taught art at the lower school for a couple of years. My oldest son was blessed to attend Kanuoka Auna for a little while before we unexpectedly had our third son and decided to become farmers in Puna. So in my career, I've had over 60 jury trials. I've been an instructor at police academy, involved in multiple wide traffic commanders unit. I was on the Hawaii State Penal Rules Committee. I was on the been an instructor at trial college. I'm hoping to fundamentally change the way we look at crime and criminal justice in our society. The war on drugs, I think we all need to admit, is an abject failure. And this is coming from a guy who led the drug task force on Kauai. The way we're doing things now, we're punishing people for having addiction, we're putting them in prison, and we're not changing their behaviors. In fact, what we're doing is we're teaching them how to become better criminals. What we need to do is rethink how we take an approach to solving our community's problems. And I think if we take a look at it, there are 5 different spots where we can really get involved. The first is with our juveniles. We get into them and we get into prevention. I was a DARE instructor and I saw the things that worked there and I saw the things that didn't. We
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bridges. That's your time for 2 minutes.
Detained.
If for whatever reason, Mr. Bridges, I may switch you to just audio only, and I'll put up a still image of yourself just as the bandwidth is cutting out a little bit. I'm just going to give you that heads up if that does happen. I'm now going to welcome Mr. Riley Smith, one of our WCA board members, to ask you a couple questions over the next 12 minutes. So the floor is yours, Riley, please.
Mr. Smith.
Make sure I'm muted there.
Thank you, James, very much. Welcome, Mr. Bridges. Thank you for joining us this evening. Our goal is to give our audience an opportunity to get to know you better, to understand what your goals and objectives are, so that they can make an informed decision when they vote in the primary election on or before Saturday, August 8th. We have allotted 12 minutes for this question and answer period. Take as much or as little time to answer each question. At the end of 12 minutes, we're going to move on to the next candidate. The first question: we did not receive your bio and were not able to locate a web page for your campaign. Could you please clarify whether you have worked in the Hawaii County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, and if so, from when to when?
I'm sorry, you totally cut out there. I heard you haven't received your file, and then you cut out.
Okay, let me repeat the question. So we would like to understand whether you have worked in the Hawaii County Prosecutor's Office, and if so, from what year to what year?
I was a deputy prosecutor in Hawaii County from 2000. Before that, I was a prosecuting attorney.
James, I'm not really hearing him. I'm going to go on to the next question. Okay, Mr. Bridges, I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay, sounds good. If elected, you will carry the responsibility of supporting and representing diverse communities across Hawaii County. Please share the top concerns you have for our island and what are your solutions as they relate to the criminal justice system.
Certainly. One of my biggest concerns is the overrepresentation of Hawaiians and people of color in the criminal justice system. I'm also concerned with the mass incarceration of Hawaii's children. We have 1,300 people currently incarcerated in Arizona. Putting somebody in prison disrupts their lives, the lives of their families. It disrupts their ability to reintegrate into the community. It disrupts the ability for them to build strong community ties and strong family ties. There are certainly people that need to be incarcerated. There are criminals among us that prey on our communities, and those people certainly need to be locked up. We have so many people being locked up right now for nonviolent offenses. It's really astounding. And we find that criminalizing people and punishing them doesn't necessarily change their behaviors. And we need to look at other more innovative ways to deal with, especially people who have drug addiction.
Okay, thank you very much. Good. The next question.
Housed, those who have mental health problems, and those who have drug addiction. And all those things are things that can be treated without locking them up, without mass incarceration. Certainly short terms of incarcerations, especially for people that are dealing with drug issues, can be very helpful to get them clean, to get them sober. But we need to be spending more time and more efforts directing people to incarceration.
Okay, thank you very much. Next question is concerning administrative responsibilities. A large part of the job is administrative. Not only are you a prosecutor, but you are in charge of running an office with a staff of over 100 and a budget of 11 million. What is your experience in this area, and how do you plan on managing this part of the job, both the personal aspects as well as the fiscal?
Where I really shine over my two colleagues that are running against me. Neither one of them has much in the way of trial experience versus my in excess of 60 jury trials. Neither one of them has even been a supervisor of a unit. I ran a felony team when I was a public defender in San Diego. I ran the district court unit and the family court units when I was on Kauai. I was also the chief drug prosecutor on Kauai. And then for my last year there, I was the first deputy prosecuting attorney, which basically put me in charge of the entire office and the entire staff. I'm the only attorney in this race that has the experience to run an office of this size and this scope.
All right, thank you very much. Next question concerns restorative justice. During this past administration, a restorative justice unit was formed within the prosecutor's office. What are your thoughts about this program, and do you plan on keeping this program going forward?
Honestly, Mitch Roth is a longtime friend. In 2006, when I first met him, he was on traffic commanders with me when I was representing Kauai. I think the restorative justice program is one of the best things that Mitch Roth ever did for this office. And I think that the work that Tim is doing over there is fantastic. We're taking the concepts of ho'oponopono and applying it to the criminal justice system. We're taking people that would otherwise be labeled felons and letting them come together with the people that they harmed and get together, talk story, try to make amends. And it's a fantastic program. It's a great success that Mitch implemented there, and I hope to continue it. In fact, I hope to expand it. It's a fantastic program.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your sharing your knowledge.
I think it's really important. It's one of my top priorities.
Awesome. Next question is regarding reform. What are your thoughts on the current events in regards to criminal justice reform? How will you revise or eliminate those processes that support institutionalized systemic racial bias?
Wow, this is right on point. You know, I was blessed enough to be out at the Black Lives Matter protest in Hilo just 2 weeks ago. And I heard so many great ideas from so many concerned people. One of the biggest issues facing us right now is bail reform and whether or not we should eliminate cash bail. And we're talking about people who are accused of a crime, but haven't been convicted of anything. And they're told, hey, brother, if you get enough money, you can post bail and you can get out. But if you're poor, you got to stay in. And I can tell you, as somebody who's been on both sides of the fence, it's a lot easier to fight a case from the outside than it is from the inside. We find if we look at the numbers, people who are denied bail because they can't afford it, I think that the numbers show something like they're 66% more likely to plead out of it just to get out of jail. And I see it, and it's unfortunate. My colleagues at the prosecutor's office now, where they'll give a guy an opportunity. Hey, if he pleads guilty, he can walk out at change of plea. We won't object to supervised release. But if he wants to continue to fight it, we're going to make him sit inside. That just begs the question. If you're okay with him getting out, if he pleads guilty, you're telling me he's not a danger. You're telling me that you don't think he's a flight risk. And if that's the case, why are we holding him in, even if he's not willing to say, I did what you're accusing me of. A lot of times we see things are mischarged and they're overcharged, and these things are dangled over defendants' heads like a sword of Damocles. Somebody's ability to post bail shouldn't be a determinant whether or not they go free, shouldn't be a determinant whether or not they're branded a felon and denied job opportunities in the future. We look at places like Washington, D.C., where they've eliminated cash bail. They found still showing up to face their consequences and be held accountable. And that's what we're really talking about. So when we're looking at bail, is this guy not? We should let him go. And then the second question, is he a flight risk? Is he somebody that's got local ties, local family, a local job? If he is, we can be assured that he's likely him and bring him into court. Now, if the guy's like, you know, a Colombian drug lord or something, yeah, he's got resources. He's gonna go back to Colombia, and we're gonna have to try to extradite him from another country. That's a different question altogether. But we're not dealing with Colombian drug lords for the most part in Hawaii courts. What we're dealing with is guys who have addicted to methamphetamine because they like the two things that you and I like. They like dopamine, they like serotonin. What I found, you know, like I said, I was a drug prosecutor. The war on drugs is a failure. The harm that comes from the war on drugs is far, far greater than the harm that comes from the drugs themselves. If we treat drugs like we used to as a public health problem, get these people treatment, get them options, and more importantly, teach our keiki, don't do drugs, because meth is the worst thing that you could possibly do. Heroin is the worst thing that you could possibly do. Then we're not going to be overcrowding our jails. We're not going to have this public school to prison pipeline that we currently see. And I think that'll make our communities safer. That'll make our communities healthier. And it'll make all of us safer in our attempts to be free of violence, and our attempts to make sure that when we have stuff, that nobody interferes with our property rights.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Bridges. Getting on to the last question. What experiences and qualities do you possess that makes you the best candidate for the role of Hawaii County Prosecutor?
I'm the only candidate on this ballot that has really any experience to speak of. I know my friend Jared, who you'll hear from soon, he's worked at 3 different prosecutors' offices. He's been a lawyer for 10 years, and he's probably got more than a handful. Very well funded. He's been a lawyer for what, 8 years now? One of those he spent with as a judge. The other 7 he spent underneath the tutelage of Mitch Roth, and only Mitch Roth. I believe he's got probably fewer than 5 jury trials. I don't know if he's ever first chaired one. I have over 60 jury trials. I'm the one guy who has real leadership experience in this race. And I'm the guy who's got the real vision to change things. You know, I love Kelden like a brother. I seriously think he is the future of the prosecutor's office, but he needs to get a lot more experience under his belt, and he needs to get a lot more life experience too. I mean, if you look at it, his mom works for Parks, his dad was a higher up at HCCC. That's not the kind of guy that's going to want to change things. So
thank you, Mr.
if
Bridges.
you really want somebody that can lead this office, Chris Bridges is your guy. Thank you, James.
Thank you, Mr. Bridges. Really appreciate you spending time with us this evening. All the best in your campaign. And aloha. Aloha, Chris.
Aloha, and mahalo.
All right. As we transition to the next candidate here, thank you again, Mr. Bridges. We'll be welcoming the next candidate here as he adjusts the audio. And let's see here. Do we have, let's see, I'll ask you to unmute. Mr. Waltjen, are you in the room with us here?
Hi, James. Can you hear me?
Hello, Kelden. Thank you for joining us this evening. We'll give you 2 minutes for your self-introduction so that you're welcome to start when you're ready, please.
Sure. Aloha. My name is Kelden Waltjen. I'm running for prosecutor. First of all, I want to take this time to thank the Community Association for allowing me to participate in tonight's forum. A little bit about myself. I was born and raised in Hilo. I'm a graduate of St. Joseph's School, the University of Hawaii at Hilo, and Richardson School of Law at Manoa. I went to law school with the ultimate goal of coming back to the same community that's given so much to me. I'm not a politician, I'm a prosecutor. I've served as a deputy prosecuting attorney with Hawaii County since 2012. I'm in the circuit court unit and specially assigned to work with HPD's Special Enforcement Unit. I handle cases involving serious and repeat offenders, property crimes, drug dealers, and illegal firearms. These cases often involve both state and federal prosecutions and require coordination with outside agencies. I've done trials ranging from DUIs to murders. The job of prosecutor is a demanding one. I'm committed to putting the time and energy into keeping our community safe. It's not uncommon for me to work until 9, 10 p.m. during the week, come in on the weekends, come in on holidays. Because of this, I was recognized last year as the county's Employee of the Year. I am the East Hawaii Director of the State Bar Association's YLD, and I coordinate free legal information clinics and the Junior Judges Program here for our keiki. I also participate in multiple school career fairs throughout the year. If elected prosecutor, I plan to prioritize community safety by seeking stiffer penalties for repeat and violent offenders, addressing root causes of crime by preventing crime before it starts, and decreasing recidivism, and restoring public trust in the criminal justice system by improving lines of communication between our office, law enforcement, and members of our community. I just want to say I feel very blessed to have the love and support of my wife, my family, my friends. Without their assistance and God's guidance, I wouldn't be where I am today. And again, thank you again for the opportunity in speaking with you guys today. Thank you.
Mahalo, Kelden. Appreciate your self-introduction there. Thank you. At this point, I'd like to welcome one of our Waimea Community Association board members, Patty Cook, to join us in the call here, and she'll be asking you a couple questions over the next 12 minutes. So, Patty, the floor is yours.
Aloha, Patty.
Aloha, Kelden. Thank you for being with us. Our purpose this evening is to give the audience an opportunity to get to know you and understand what your goals and objectives are so that they can make an informed decision when they vote August 8th or before. We have 12 minutes. We have questions. You'll have one question at the very end. Let's get started. You briefly just talked about your priorities in your introduction. The responsibility that you take on as prosecutor is really one of supporting and representing diverse communities across the county. Share again a little more definition about your top concerns for our island and what your solutions are as they relate to the criminal justice system.
I think one of the things that we really have to address, and as a priority concern that I have, is restoring the public's trust in the criminal justice system. What's happened, in Honolulu with the prosecutor's office, there's been a lot of different things have brought some concerns forward about things like transparency, opening communication between different communities. And what I think we need to do is really have the public trust restored in the criminal justice system, because if the public doesn't feel like that their needs and their interests are being met, then we can't, they're not going to feel safe in their homes. And that's one of the first things we really need to address.
Thank you. A large part of the job is administrative. Not only will you be prosecutor, but you're also in charge of running an office with over 100 staff and $11 million budget. What is your experience in this area, and how do you plan on managing this part of the job, both personal and fiscal matters?
Currently, I'm a line deputy. I'm in court almost every day. I believe my court experience will help me to be able to assist and work with the deputy prosecutors in our office. However, I do recognize that the prosecutor must be able to effectively manage the office, and that administrative role just comes with the job. Personnel-wise, our office is comprised of 122 staff members. With 8 units, we have 3 offices across the island: an office in Hilo, an office in Waimea, and a brand new office that we're moving into out in Kona. I feel that I'm fortunate to have the support and trust of so many people in our office. I believe I'm the only candidate that is currently working at the prosecutor's office as a prosecutor. I'm not a defense attorney. I can offer the county a smooth transition. I'm able to unite the office. I'm the most familiar with the policies, procedures, and the staff. I've sat on interview panels, and I've assisted in trainings both within the office, and I've also worked with different members of the police department. You know, with the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, that's gonna, will likely be some budgetary concerns that may arise. We will need to be able to maintain our attorneys, staff, and support without compromising our services. And to do so, we will need to make sure we are working together as an office more effectively and more efficiently. And I think that's what I bring to the table.
Thank you, Mr. Kelden. Next one is about restorative justice. The current administration established a restorative justice unit. What do you think about this, and would you intend to keep this program going forward?
Yes, most definitely. You know, with restorative justice, the entire goal with that is it aims to get offenders to take responsibility for their actions, to understand the cause, the harm that they've caused, to give them an opportunity to redeem themselves, and it gives them. It's also to discourage them from causing further harm to others. You know, it gives the victims the opportunity to have an active role in the process, and you know, avoid any feelings of anxiety, and you know, that feeling powerless. That, you know, sometimes those are the types of things that happen in the criminal justice system. You know, I've personally been able to refer cases to the restorative justice program, and I've had good results. You know, in our office, we have a juvenile prosecutor that handles a lot of the juvenile cases, and in the juvenile system, we've been using the restorative justice program a lot. It's, you know, the aim of the restorative justice process is, you know, to help rebuild relationships sometimes, and, you know, help people move forward, and sometimes, you know, just turning that negative into a positive. And I think that's what we've been able to do, and it's been very effective.
Thank you very much. What are your thoughts on the current events in regards to criminal justice reform? How will you revise or eliminate processes that support institutionalized systemic racial prejudice?
You know, I guess just touching on current events, you know, I'd just like to say, you know, what happened to George Floyd, you know, it was a tragedy. As a prosecutor, my duties are to seek justice, protect the public interest, and uphold the rule of law. The prosecutor must ensure the fair and equal administration of the law to all people, regardless of, you know, factors such as race, skin color, social status, or occupation. You know, it's a police officer. I disagree with any discriminatory practices. You know, one of the other things that has come to light as regarding these current events is the importance in providing training for law enforcement, you know, as well as the prosecutors. We need to be aware of certain things such as implicit biases, and that's one of the things that I would employ if given the opportunity to serve as a prosecutor. Is, you know, I would encourage continuing legal education for our deputies. You know, another thing I would like to touch a little bit on is our current police chief, you know, Chief Ferrer. He stated, you know, recently that, you know, anytime an incident like this happens, where an officer does something like this, it plays, you know, upon public perception of the entire police force, you know, regardless of, you know, whether you're here in Hawaii, California, Washington, D.C. And he mentioned that, you know, that's important to take a look at the current policies and practices and procedures. And that's something I think that we should do.
Thank you. How will you revise the bail system so that all persons, regardless of their financial means, get a chance to stay with their family and continue to work if they are not in a danger to society, but be able, you know, and it's really in lieu of the current cash bail system?
I see. You know, as a deputy prosecutor, I'll be honest with you. You know, we do employ a cash bail system here on Hawaii County. I actually believe that our Hawaii County cash bail system is actually pretty fair when compared with the other jurisdictions across the state. Former Chief Judge Ronnie Barra imposed a bail schedule here on the island, and certain amounts of bail were set, determining based on, you know, severity of the offenses, whether it be a Class A, B, or C felony. And for the most part, those are the bails that have been employed and we continue to use to this day. Currently, and our island is one of the only islands, that always gave defendants or the accused the opportunity to address bail at pretty much every court proceeding in court. They were able to routinely make oral motions for bail reductions. And one of the things that our jurisdiction does has always, at least more so recently, is they have considered a defendant's financial ability to post bail. We also, as a prosecutor, we also will look to a person's prior criminal history, the severity of the offenses alleged, and whether or not that person places any danger upon the public. So I do believe that a cash bail system is appropriate at this time.
Thank you. In light of the ongoing protests and vigils happening here and across the country addressing disparity and inequity within our communities, how do we work with our police to create and maintain a culture that preserves the spirit of aloha and provides the highest quality of police service and really forms partnerships with the community?
I think we're fortunate here on Hawaii County. I think we have an excellent police department. I believe our officers, the thing about Hawaii County is we're very racially diverse, and that goes for the prosecutors and the police department. And we have family members on both sides of the criminal justice system. We treat people with respect and dignity. In our office, we have many members of diverse ethnic groups. I think we have about 30% of our deputy prosecutors in our office are part Hawaiian, and I think we're able to address different cultural concerns and being fair to different peoples.
Thank you. What role does the Victim Assistance Unit in the prosecutor's office play, and how important is their work to the community?
The Victim Assistance Unit in our office plays an integral role in what we do and provides a crucial component in the criminal justice system. Our office, we have, I think, 14 counselors over the island, spread out in the different offices. What they are is they're advocates for victims. They advise them of their rights. They provide them and they give them referrals to other services. They also provide court advocacy, escort them to court. They explain to them the criminal process. They are oftentimes the liaison between the prosecuting attorney and the victim or witness. They explain to us, what the person's desired outcome is. They keep them informed of what's going on in court, notify them, whether or not a court hearing is coming up, or whether or not a offender has been released, whether they posted bail. They're just an integral part of the office and the overall effectiveness of what we do as prosecutors. And we, without the victim witness counselors in our office, they would make our job would be pretty hard because we have to do.
Thank you. I'd like to ask one last question before we wrap up. What experiences and qualities do you possess that makes you the best candidate for the role of Hawaii County Prosecutor?
What I think I bring to the table is I have a very hard work ethic. I really promote teamwork, and I think I'm just I encourage open lines of communication. Like I said earlier in my opening, it's not unusual for me I'll put in whatever time is necessary to get the job done. I come from a blue collar family. Growing up, the biggest influence I had in my life was my grandfather. He was a sheet metal worker and a plumber by trade, and what he really instilled in me was being humble, working hard and being fair. And in every case that I handle, I think back to him, and I think about what kind of things that he would look into and making a decision. As far as being in my office, I think I'm a good teamwork. I'm a good team player. I encourage that. I think that our office is comprised of a lot of different components, and every single staff member in the office is a crucial and necessary component to the overall machine. And everybody working together, we can move forward. And lastly, I think as far as I'm a good communicator. I have good networking with different law enforcement agencies. I work well with the police. I have a very good rapport with them. And the bottom line is, I think I can get the job done. I think I'm your best candidate for prosecutor, and I just asked our voters, consider me on August 8th. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waltjen. Thank you for spending time with us this evening. Appreciate you being here with us. All the best in your
Mahalo.
campaign.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much. Aloha.
Aloha. Have a good evening. Okay, we have one more candidate this evening, and I'll welcome him into the room here in a moment. Let's see. So we want to welcome Mr. Auna. Jared Auna here is the last one for the evening here. And Mr. Auna, the floor is yours when you're ready. Aloha, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me, James, Riley, Patty Cook, Frankie.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm going to give you 2 minutes for your self-introduction, and begin when you're ready, please.
Sorry, I got some playback there. Thank you. So I'm a former deputy prosecutor. You already heard Hawaii County, Maui County, Hawaii County, and currently a defense attorney. Before I became a prosecutor, obviously I went to school. I majored in international business management and economics. I ran a bowling center, a multi-million-dollar bowling center, and learned about finances, hiring people. So this type of experience I'm bringing in here. Right now, I just want to say that with everything that's going on, a lot of people want to hear about the hope that is on the way. I do think that our economy will improve. I think that we're going to focus on public safety. Things are going to be better for us, and hope is on the way. And most importantly, I want to tell you about how I'm going to focus on our missing children. Thank you. Mahalo.
Thank you, Mr. Auna. You have a minute if you'd like to say anything else before we move on.
That's the thing on everybody's mind right now, and I'm feeling it from my heart, and everybody's rallying together in every part of the community. Our children are missing out there. That's from our community, our families. And so the only way we're going to do this is we all get together. I got to be out there too with y'all, and I'll be at those meetings too. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. At this point, I'd like to welcome Riley Smith into the room here. He's going to ask you a couple questions, Jared, for the next 12 minutes. So, Riley, the floor is yours.
Thanks, James. Aloha, Mr. Auna. How are you doing this evening?
Aloha, very good.
Good. Thank you for joining us. Our goal is to give our audience an opportunity to get to know you better, to understand what your goals and objectives are, so that they can make an informed decision when they vote in the primary election on August 8th. We've allotted 12 minutes for this question and answer period. Take as much or as little time to answer each question. At the end of 12 minutes, we're going to conclude and wrap up this evening's festivities. First question. So we've heard a little bit about you, but we weren't able to receive a bio, and I wasn't able to find a web page on your campaign. Could you let me know if you've worked at the Hawaii County Prosecutor's Office, and if so, from when to when?
Yes, I'll say February 2017 to August 2019. That was Hawaii County Prosecutor's Office, Hilo office.
All right, thank you very much. Next question regards priorities. If elected, you will carry the responsibility of supporting and representing the diverse communities across Hawaii County. Please share the top concerns you have for our island, and what are your solutions as they relate to the criminal justice system?
Thank you. So there's going to be some administrative focus and changes. I'm going to revamp the office internally just to make sure that we have a better structure. Essentially, for those having that question, I'm going to make sure that attorneys are assigned to courtrooms, clerks are assigned to courtrooms, and counselors are assigned to courtrooms. And that way there will be more consistency in case handling. Sometimes if you call up and you are perhaps a victim of a case, you might, at different phases of it, actually talk to 5 different employees or 5 different deputies. And so, as like I always say, consistency increases efficiency. Separate from what I'm going to do in the office itself, again, my focus right now, missing children. And, you know, there really is not going to be one solution for this. We got to use all the solutions. And the first solution right now, I mean, if I got to, I'll go to every elementary school, middle school, high school, and give a speech about how these kids are loved and how we are concerned about their safety. You know, zoom me into your homeschool if that's what you do. But, you know, I got to meet with the county employees on every single division, whether it's Parks and Recs, because they're the ones involved with kids during summer school, right? Or the county council and the mayor's office, every solution, we need to hear it all. You know, I'm very concerned about that right now. So, you know, other than that, of course, we got to go to where the damage is happening the most. You know, one of the areas where people are actually killed the most, probably the biggest area, is negligent homicide by DUIs. And so we're looking at, if you look at NHTSA, the statistics, 10,000 per year throughout the country, and by negligent homicide by alcohol only. We don't know how much drugs is a factor in additional deaths through negligent homicides. And, you know, as a prosecutor on the different islands, I did about, you know, 50 DUI trials. So I'm going to hit that hard too and make sure that our roads are safer. Our roads are long. We got the biggest ones in the county, right? So I'm in the state, right? And you know, your safety on the road is my concern right now. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much. You mentioned children and missing children. So let me just touch on that. I remember reading an article in the Tribune Herald last week where the police department addressed the county council and actually mentioned that the incident rate of missing children has actually decreased. So are you saying it's a priority because it's increasing, or just it's a priority because it is a priority?
It's a priority because it's always a priority. If one child is missing, then we got to find that one child. And I'm happy to hear if that's what the chief of police is saying through the statistics that have come out recently. I'm happy to hear that. But every children's got to be accounted for. We got some missing. They're missing for a long time. We don't know where they are. And so, you know, that is a priority. It's always a priority. And I think why it's been put into the public eye perhaps more than in prior years, because more people are involved. They want to be involved in law enforcement. They want to be involved in the community. And so, you know, some of these other protests or gathering have caused people to be more aware of all the issues, right? And so if we're going to move from one issue to change that issue of racism, or we're going to end racism, and now we're moving to this next issue too of our missing children, that's at the forefront, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to do all the issues. And I thank everybody in the community. You're out there on the internet looking for these children. Waimea Community Association, thank you for inviting me. We're going to do this together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As a parent, I share your concern. A large part of your job is administrative. Not only are you a prosecutor, but you are in charge of running an office with a staff of over 100 and a budget of 11 million. What is your experience in this area, and how do you plan on managing this part of the job, both the personnel aspects as well as the fiscal aspects?
Thank you. You know, I was fortunate to be the manager of a bowling center, and we had arcade machines, bowling, Dance Dance Revolution, if you guys remember this game, air hockey and everything. And it was $1 million center, and in that I had to be in charge of making the fiscal budget and hiring people, and we rented out materials and things like that, like snorkel gear and things. I learned a lot about business through there. It's very difficult. What you're going to find is that some areas are not making money, and so you have to replace, you have to refocus. And so from the business standpoint, along with my business background, international business management and economics, and of course I'm a small business owner right now, my concern always going to be whether we're using our resources most efficiently. And so along with that, administratively, like I said, there's ways that we're going to save money. You look at Auna for Prosecutor on Instagram or Facebook, I've talked about some of the ways. One of the reasons I'm getting rid of everybody's fax machine. Everybody in government, get rid of it. You don't have to send faxes anymore, send emails. You don't need your phone line, all the ink that you got to pay for that. From now on, let's go all internet only. Let's go to emails. We don't have to print everything. Other things I'm going to do essentially, and now especially in the COVID era, I'm going to be cutting all off-island trainings. So if there's an off-island training that was scheduled, that's cut. We got to save the budget right now. It's going to be massive budget cuts. We don't know how much it's going to be. The mayor's going to come down and give you a number. The county council is going to come down and give you a number. I don't know how much it is, but essentially, when we cut these trainings from outer islands, essentially what you do is you fly employees somewhere else and they watch a PowerPoint. Now, I can make a PowerPoint, or we can watch a PowerPoint on somebody's computer from your office, but especially now that we need to save money, all off-island trainings are canceled. We're going to do this online, and we're not going to expose ourselves to possibility of bringing back the COVID virus. And I'm saying right now, Zoom, what a blessing. I get to be here with you. You guys are at Waimea or wherever you are. You know, the Waimea Community Association, love it. We have technology today that allows us to save money, you know, and so that's what I'm going to do in our office, make sure we're saving money. And thank you again for your question. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Next question concerns restorative justice. In the past administration, a restorative justice unit was formed within the prosecutor's office. What are your thoughts about this program, and do you plan on keeping this program going forward?
Of restorative justice, I want to make sure now, because like I'm saying, is in our community for thousands of years, we have had methods to resolve conflict resolution of ho'oponopono. I want to make sure our cultural practitioners are always involved in this. So if we're going to have to revamp it, you know, currently I think the method is using the Mennonite method. That's a you know, mainland method. And so I want to make sure that our cultural practitioners are involved. Currently, I know some of them that are involved. It's a great program of making sure that things are right, or making sure that you can restore what has been taken or such in different ways. And this is going to make our community stronger, right? So, you know, again, a big fan of this program, but I want to make sure that it's done in a way that is acceptable, or say culturally been done, so that the people who participated understand it better and more. And so, you know, again, thank you. Thank you for the question.
Appreciate it. Next question concerns inequality. How can we address and resolve racial and wealth disparity in our court system?
That's true. And that happens over the whole world. I mean, you know, essentially, if you have more money, you know, you have more ways to use it. And so we're looking at, like you guys talked about earlier, you know, bail reform. I want to sit down with everybody and make sure that the system treats everybody fairly. Now, again, statistically showing that Hawaiians make up a greater disproportionate number of people who are incarcerated, and a disproportionately lower number of people participate in the justice system. That's one of the reasons why I got involved myself. You know, I wanted to make sure that I participated, that I vote, that I'm here, you know, and to change the system. And again, I got to look at diversity. Some people feel perhaps that again, the statistics, that's what they're bringing up, saying the disproportionate number of perhaps Hawaiian attorneys or other categories. And so I'm going to make sure that our office employs people diverse of different backgrounds to make sure that every group is represented, and we're going to work toward this issue through equality. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question concerns bail reform. What are your thoughts on the bail system, the cash bail system?
Well, you know, one of the ways that we can actually not have to put cash bail is to ensure that if you just got picked up on a warrant for not missing court, something very small, you might be able to resolve that without having to stay in jail or post bail. You know, it's called a custody calendar. And that's something that I'm working toward, is to ensure that you don't just have people filled up in jails with people who have just missed court. If that's the only offense, we can come in, we can get it done quickly, send you home, get it done. And so that's going to eliminate a lot of the cell or overcrowdedness of the jail, and ensure that we have space in there for people, you know, considering the issue of people who are violent. Some people got to be put for a moment in time out. There's no question about it. There's no way to get around that. Somebody might be in that mind state right now. We want to make sure people are safe. And so, you know, there's going to be definitely a big reform on the way. I'm a reform guy. I'm going to sit down with all the people who are going to be involved. If, you know, the judges have an answer for that, if Department of Public Safety, community members, and we'll talk about this, and we're going to work this out together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next comment or question concerns victim assistance. What role does the victim assistance unit in the prosecutor's office play, and how important is their work for the community?
These are going to be your contacts. These people are supposed to be the ones that are going to relay the information to the attorneys to make sure that the attorneys have contact with their victims. And so it's like I said earlier, we're going to revamp the office a little bit and restructure it so that there is a cleaner line of communication. Now, right now, again, you're going to find this in possibly all government or in a business, that because everybody is essentially assigned and responsible, nobody becomes responsible. It's like I said, if everybody's assigned to a case, everybody's in every courtroom, sometimes it becomes difficult for a person who is a victim to be in contact with the attorney who's going to be making the decisions on this case, or the counselor who's going to be making the decisions on this case. And so again, I'm going to revamp this office, restructure it so that people have the direct team. Every courtroom is going to have your team. Every courtroom is going to have a prosecutor, your counselor assigned, and your clerks assigned. So the only thing that they're going to focus on is what's going on in that courtroom. And there's different courtrooms. And because of this consistency, the efficiency of the office is going to increase, better line of communication, and you won't have to be standing there saying, I just talked to 3 different attorneys and 3 different counselors. I don't know who's handling my case, you know. And so, yeah, that's what it is. You know, victims going to be happier now. They know me. They know that I was the one fighting these court cases. They know I'm on the front lines. They might have testified on my court cases on a prelim or a grand jury. I did information charges. And so, you know, if you ever see me in court, you guys recognize me. I'm 6'7". You can't miss me. And I fight hard for the victims. And I want to make sure everybody knows that we're going to bring justice, and we're going to do it more efficiently under my term. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Last question. What experiences and qualities do you possess that makes you the best candidate for the role of Hawaii County Prosecutor?
I think it's my diversity, working in 3 different offices and as a defense attorney, get to look at it from different perspectives. And what's going to happen is, because I know the statewide system, I'm also going to have the opportunity to recruit the best talent from everywhere. You know, you might consider me the Pat Riley, when he was able to work for the Heat, and he was able to find, you know, LeBron James, right, and bring him to work with Dwayne Wade, right, and Chris Bosh, and they won 2 championships. And so, you know, because I know the system and I'm able to take the best practices from each office, we're going to assemble an all-star team. And so, you know, that's my experience. I did over 100 trials before I came back to the Big Island. Someone might say that they have more trial than me, but they can't say that I don't have trial experience, because I'm intense and my intensity is unmatched. Now, I want to make sure that everybody knows out there that a community is going to be safer with me. And I would consider any talent, including people who are running against me. If I feel that these guys are qualified under my term, I'm going to offer somebody a job. Because I'm going to find out, you know, I'm not going to say that I have a lack of confidence in my own capabilities. I can recognize when there is talent out there, real recognize real. And so when I find there's a talent out there, whether it be on the defense side or working for a judge or even somebody running against me, under my term, if I find the best talent, you're going to come work for us, and we're going to make our community safer. Thank you. Thank you for all the questions. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Auna.
Thank you, Mr. Auna. Appreciate you joining us this evening. All the best in your campaign. Aloha. Have a good night.
Aloha. Aloha. Mahalo. Thank you.
All right. So that was our prosecutor candidates, and I'm just going to do a little recap here before we close the meeting up. So I'm just going to share my screen with you here. I appreciate you staying with us this evening for this event. So earlier in the evening, we heard from our county council candidates. We heard from we started off with council member Tim Richards, then we heard from Chef Ippy Aiona, and we finished up with Ranae Keane. So those were our candidates that we heard from for County Council for District 9. And then we made a transition and talked about vote by mail and vote 411. And we moved into a little bit of information kind of gathering just so you can learn more about the prosecutor's office. And then we moved into prosecutors. And we started off and we heard from Mr. Christopher Bridges, and then Mr. Kelden Waltjen, and then we lastly heard from Mr. Jared Auna. So it was great to hear from all these candidates, and we wish them all in their campaign. Just a quick couple updates here. Tomorrow, we are holding another forum for County Council District 1. Going to be launching around the same time. We'll be hearing from 6 candidates tomorrow, and we're excited to hear from them, and hope you can join us online and watch the event. It's great to see you all online, streaming with comments and chipping in and watching these events here. So thank you for doing that. We've also identified a date in July, Thursday, July 9th. And our invitations have just started to go out to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. And we're inviting the Hawaii Island resident trustees and those running for the at-large trustee seats. So we're hoping to do a little different format for that evening. I know there's a bunch of different candidates there, and we want to structure something that so you can learn about those candidates as well. So that's what we're looking for in July. And we'll keep you posted as this event comes together here. One other last update. We did this last time. We talked about food basket. The next food basket coming into Waimea will be, and this drop will be on Friday, July 3rd, so next Friday. And this will start off at 10 a.m. at Waimea District Park. Once again, please stay in your car. And the shout out and mahalo goes to the food basket staff, its volunteers, all the community partners, including Bridges and Farm to Families, all those astronomy friends and partners there, the Hawaii County, the Police Department, National Guard, Suisan, and the USDA for helping ensure that no one goes hungry during this time. This difficult time for everyone's experiencing. So thank you for that one. All right. I'll just close that there. And lastly, I just want to say mahalo nui to all the candidates that joined us online tonight. It's great to hear from all these candidates for District 9 and the County Prosecutor candidates as well on our virtual forum series here. And once again, we wish you good luck in your campaigns. I'd also like to thank Lonnie Olson-Chong, Frankie Pang, Patty Cook, and Riley Smith for presenting the community-generated questions this evening. It's great to have a number of the board members and a number of the community on board with this in participating, asking these questions, submitting these questions, and making this a very community-driven event. I'd also like to thank the Waimea Community Association Board, the rest of the board members, for their support in hosting this forum series in an effort to inform you, the voters, inform us, everyone, as you consider your selection for the Hawaii primary election on August 8th. And look out for your ballots. They'll be coming up not too far off here. I'd also like to thank our League of Women Voters members that joined us. We start off with Nina Eejima, the Vice President of the Hawaii County Chapter, and then Rosemarie Muller, the President of the Hawaii County Chapter. So thank you for joining us and showing your support and dedication to these forum series and making sure that we're getting out there to vote and sharing important information as it relates to the 2020 election and the vote by mail process. I also want to thank all of our voters online that join us on the live stream tonight, and I hope you can join us tomorrow as well. You're welcome to revisit and rewatch these recordings on our Facebook page, the Waimea Community Association Facebook page. And then later this week, I will plan to upload them. We'll plan to upload them onto YouTube for our YouTube channel. And hopefully these will help you guide your decision in the primary election. And lastly, on behalf of the Waimea Community Association Board, I wish you good health, be well, aloha. Have a good night.